Hello, my fabulous ELL Intermediate 2 students. How are you? I miss you. I hope you are doing well. Before I talk about your assignments for this week, I just wanted to answer a few questions that I've gotten from some students. First question being, do I have to be doing school right now? And the answer is maybe. It depends on what your grades were before spring break. So if you had an A in a class, you don't have to continue. If you had a B in a class, a C, even a D, you can take the pass. Okay, so if you want to talk about that, give me a call or send me an email to set up maybe a Google Hangout, or I can Zoom with you or with your parents to help you understand. I'd be happy to do that. The reason, though, I think it is good to continue on with this class in particular is that I've chosen one very small focus, writing an argument, and we are doing it for the whole month. And so everyone in this class had an A before we went to spring break. And so I think that you can keep that A by doing these things that I'm asking you to do every week, because it's really not very much. I really want you to have an A and kind of bring up your GPA during this time while you're at home. Now, I know some of you are working, and that makes it more difficult, or some of you are taking care of little kids, and that makes it more difficult. Some of you are just really worried because you've got parents that are working jobs that still put them out there and they can't isolate, and that makes you feel worried and anxious, and I understand. So if you've got some reasons why you don't want to do this, please don't feel bad. I'm not going to be hurt. I'm still going to love you if you don't take my class, okay? But if you're just sitting around at home and you're like, I don't have anything to do, I'm just watching Netflix all day, then do it, right? This is not difficult. So if you didn't do last week's assignments and you're like, yeah, I suppose I can do this, just jump in and do, from the stuff from last week and then do the stuff from this week, and it will not take you very long to get caught up, I promise. So if you look here at the Canvas page, this was last week's assignment. Now here today, the week of May 4. This week we're going to read some arguments and counter arguments before you put your own ideas down on a graphic organizer. So I'm going to kind of walk you through it. If you want to come back and read this on your own, this will be the Google Doc link for the arguments examples. And then this is where you're going to want to click and make your own copy to get this graphic organizer that you are going to fill in with your ideas for your letter to a presidential candidate. Okay? So let's look first at these two examples. Arguments. Let's see if I can make this smaller. Maybe I can't. Okay. Argument example number 1. Now this one is probably a little bit more what we would call juvenile. Something that somebody a little bit younger might write. Something I would expect maybe from a beginner ELL student or intermediate 1. I think you could probably do a little bit better than this, okay? But here's just an example. See if you can find the argument and the counter argument. Cats make the best pets because they are clean, quiet, and very cute. Cats keep themselves clean by washing themselves with their tongues. You don't have to take them for walks to relieve themselves or get exercise. They use a litter box and don't need to run outside. Also, cats are sweet and quiet, so the neighbors will never complain about your pet being too loud. Cats are the ideal pet. Some people might argue that dogs make a better pet, but dogs are much more work than cats. Dogs need someone to train them to relieve themselves outside. Dogs also need someone to take them for walks every day. You have to give them baths because they don't clean themselves. Dogs eat more food than cats too. Overall, cats make better pets than dogs. So if we go back up to the top, you can see that their argument is cats make the best pets because they are clean, quiet, and very cute. And then they gave more examples here. They gave the reason about they wash themselves, they don't go to the bathroom outside, you have a litter box, they are quiet, neighbors don't complain. So they just kind of took this information from here and told more about it in their reasons, and then kind of, as a conclusion sentence, restated their idea. Now the counter argument, some people might argue that dogs make a better pet. They don't really say why people would say that, but they gave some reasons why they think dogs are better than cats. It meets the basic requirements. Is it the best argument you could make? I think you could probably do a little bit better. So here's another example of an argument. This, I think, would be more what I'm looking for from an Intermediate 2 ELL student. It's a more serious topic, and I think you could do this argument. Okay, so it says, everyone should shut down their screens and not use any electronics. Let's look at the second argument. Everyone should shut down their screens for a week and not use any electronics. Since the invention of the computer, cell phone, and other electronics, people have been using them more and more. What separates humans from animals is our ability to think deeply and focus. But when we use electronics, we think less deeply and focus less. Using electronics and multitasking hurts our ability to focus, an ability that is enormously important. We depend on this ability to focus almost every day, like when driving a car or listening to instructions from a teacher or boss. If you're distracted while doing one of these things, it can have dire consequences for yourself and others. Multitasking can also affect creativity and deep thought, causing problems for work and family life. By turning off screens for a week, we could give people a chance to develop new habits and not use their phone or computer all the time. Maybe parents would play with their kids instead of constantly checking their phones. Some people say that technology makes you smarter. While it is true that scientists have found that internet users show greater brain activity than non-users, they also found that technology changes a characteristic of the brain that was thought to be unchangeable, the ability to only process one stream of information at a time. This ability allows humans to think deeply, an important characteristic in today's society. By changing this part of their brain, they are preventing themselves from having the ability to think deeply. Technology has many advantages and conveniences, but for many people, technology becomes more than a convenience and borders on obsession. For this reason, we should shut down screens for a week to give people a chance to make technology a convenience again, not a necessity. I think that this one is better. It seems more factual, like they've done some reading about the topic. Again, they have their argument. Everyone should shut down their screens for a week and not use any electronics. The thing that's great about this is that they don't say, I think everyone should shut down their screens for a week. When you say things like I think or I believe, that makes your argument weaker. If you just say everyone should, that makes you sound more forceful, more commanding. Here is their counter-argument. Some people say that technology makes you smarter. And now they take that argument. Well, it's true that they have found some brain activity that would maybe prove that. They also found something else that I can crush that argument. Okay, so don't forget when you do the counter-argument, you are trying to make that person sound like they don't know what they're talking about. You've got evidence that shows differently. And then they ended with restating their argument. We should shut down screens for a week. Pretty good argument, I would say. Now, that second document in Canvas is this. It's an example letter that I wrote. You are going to choose to write either former Vice President Joe Biden, the Democratic candidate for president, or current President Donald Trump, who's the Republican candidate. And you are going to state your argument. What is it that you think they really need to pay attention to in this election? What is an issue that you think people really need to think about, and why? So here's my example letter. I'm thinking like as a student. If I were a student, this might be something that was important to me. You might have other ideas, and you might think this is not important. That's why you're going to write your own letter, so you can say what you think is important. All right. Dear President Trump, the United States should require school uniforms for every student. First, school uniforms save families money because trying to keep up with the latest fashions is very expensive. According to the National Center for Educational Statistics, it costs a student $150 per year for school uniforms, but a student could easily spend that much on one pair of jeans and one sweatshirt at the mall. Also, uniforms build school spirit and a sense of togetherness, because in uniforms, everyone feels like they belong and are part of the same group. Finally, uniforms help us feel safe in school, Because if anyone in the hallway is not wearing the uniform, we know they are a stranger and can get help right away before the intruder does something bad. Some people argue that school uniforms are bad because students don't get a chance to express their individuality. The truth, though, is that uniforms help boost mental health because students don't feel like they need to focus so much on looking the right way or fitting in. When everyone is dressed uniformly, students can focus less on how they look and more on who they are. Students' personalities are able to shine through, and their individuality comes from within, not from what they are wearing. The United States is a great country, and it could become even greater if all students wear school uniforms. Please consider passing a law that saves families money, helps us feel like we belong, and keeps us safe. Sincerely, Tiffany Royce. So as you can see, I've got my argument that we should have school uniforms for everybody. And then I give some reasons. I included a statistic here, and all I did was Google statistics about school uniforms. And I found this, and I cited my source, the National Center for Educational Statistics, and what they said it costs for school uniforms. And I gave some other reasons why I thought school uniforms would be good for everybody. And then I said a counter argument, something somebody might argue against me and say, we shouldn't have uniforms because students don't get to show their individuality. And then I knocked it down, I crushed it, saying why that's not true. Personalities can shine through instead of just what people are wearing. And that's a better view of individuality than just your clothing. And then I concluded by kind of restating my argument and why I think it's important for him to think about. So now you are going to make a copy of this Google Doc, and you are going to fill in your argument, okay? So first of all, who you're going to write to, Biden or Trump. So you're going to choose and write there who you're going to send this letter to. You don't really have to do it, but just if you're going to, who you would. Then what's your argument? Do you think they should pay attention to something about this COVID-19 crisis, something about abortion, something about gay rights, something about immigration? What is it that's important to you that you want to write this letter about? So you're going to state your argument. That's like your topic sentence. And then you're going to support it. First, second, third. So you need 3 reasons why this is important, why you are correct. And then your conclusion statement. And at the bottom here I say, did you use a statistic or a quote in one of the boxes? That will help strengthen your argument. And don't forget to cite your source. Okay, you can't say that you said it if you got it from someone else. Then the counter argument. What would somebody say if they were arguing with you? And why are they wrong? Okay, the second box is saying, why are they wrong? And then you give some evidence and some more evidence. I put a note here, don't be wishy-washy. You can't have it both ways. You can't be nice and say, well, I can see why they would say that. No, no, you knock them down, okay? That's what an argument is. You're saying why they are wrong. And then finally, there's a spot here at the bottom. How are you going to conclude your argument? Restate your argument in different words, and then what do you want this guy to do if he becomes president? What do you want him to do? When you start to write this in a paragraph, which will be next week, for this week, all you have to do is fill this in and share this with me. Okay, so just fill in your ideas, and then next week we're going to turn it into an actual letter where you're going to think about using good grammar, using good vocabulary, so not using baby words you learned when you were beginners, using good level 2, intermediate 2 level vocabulary. You want to spell things correctly because they're not going to take time to read your letter if it's full of mistakes, right? And don't forget, with a real letter, you want a greeting and a closing and a signature at the bottom. So if you go back up to my example letter, the greeting is saying, dear who, and the closing is sincerely your name. Okay, so that's your assignment for this week, is just to make a copy of this Google Doc and fill in this table, which I know that you can do very easily. Okay, so I hope you'll do it. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any questions in any other classes. I am happy to help with anything. Just let me know, okay? I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're staying healthy. I know with the nice weather, some people want to stop with the social distancing. Keep social distancing. 6 feet away. Wear a mask if you go out, okay? Stay healthy. I miss you. I love you. Take good care of yourselves. Bye.